meeting to order. Lindy, can you please call roll?
Yes. Cram? Behrens? Schwartz? Here. Bulow?
Here.
Canada?
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. So, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong agenda at the moment.
That's me next to the land
Yes, there we
acknowledgements, so
go.
I just
Carl will read the land acknowledgement.
We're gathered here on the lands that were originally home to the Menominee and Ho-Chunk nations. We honor the Menominee and Ho-Chunk communities and are grateful for their stewardship of the land and waters. We acknowledge these ancestral grounds as sacred and remember the complex history of settler colonialism on these lands and the effects that persist today. We commit to a restorative and healing relationship of the original inhabitants and our community.
All right, and then Lisa is going to read the mission statement.
The mission of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee is to create a more welcoming, connected, and equitable Oshkosh by consciously including the richness and complexities of marginalized voices in its planning and function.
All right, thank you. So, first agenda item is to approve the minutes from the September 23rd, 2024 meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved as presented.
And a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All right, can we read the roll for the vote?
Schwartz?
Aye.
Bulow?
Aye.
Canada?
Aye.
All right, 3. Motion passes. All right, we have introduction of our new DEI member on today's schedule. This is Liz's first meeting. We usually just like to get to know the person a little bit. We will also introduce ourselves so it's not so awkward. So I'll start with me, Michelle Banky, staff liaison for the committee. I am acting as chair as we will be doing an election very shortly. I work full-time here at the city as the HR manager and the DEI liaison for the citizens. We also have a employee DEI committee that I am the liaison or a member of as well. And this was just a really great fit because a lot of what I do from a HR standpoint overlaps very well with diversity, equity, and inclusion. So, Lindy, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello. I'm Melinda Moore, the HR assistant. I'm relatively new to the city of Oshkosh. I've only been here a couple of months, so I'm still kind of getting used to the DEI committee and the employee committee as well. So that's kind of it, but feel free to ask questions if you want to know more.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi, my name is Lisa. Also fairly brand new to here. I am a member service representative at Capital Credit Union and was a 2-year organizer of their DEI committee there. And so this was just a very good fit. I love to volunteer in the community and be here once a month.
Carl Bulow, City Council, currently at Verve Credit Union. I've been working in nonprofit and not-for-profits for the last 10 years, and so interested in DEI from a variety of lenses that are different from mine.
We have a couple guests and we'll let them introduce themselves, I think, when they do their presentation. So Liz, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, I've been at Day by Day Shelter for the past 2 years. And then I also just recently started at Harbor House. Just wanted to bring the voices of the people I'm serving to the community.
Great. All right. With that, we do need to do our DEI committee reorganization, elect a new chairperson. So I will go through that process. And so we need to elect a chairperson. I will call for nominations three times. We will then have a motion to close nominations and vote. At this time, I call for nominations for chair.
I will emphatically nominate Liz Schwartz.
All right. Are there any other nominations for chair? third and final time, any other nominations for chair? All right, I will entertain a motion to close nominations and elect Liz Schwartz as chair by calling a vote.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Can you call the roll?
Yes. Schwartz. Bulow.
Aye.
Canuck.
Aye.
All right, motion passes 3. Liz is our first chair. If you would like, Liz, I'll finish up this meeting and then you can take over as chair in the next meeting and I can certainly help you, so no worries. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Unless you really like to take over from here.
Well, I can watch.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Next on the agenda is citizen statements, and we do not have anyone scheduled for citizen statements. Thereafter, we have public comment on agenda items, and we do not have anyone scheduled for public comment. And then we get to Christine Ann, Domestic Abuse Services, Alicia Wagner, and actually I hear Eden is going to be doing most of the heavy lifting here, have a presentation for us. So welcome, and please obviously take a couple minutes to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I'm Alicia Wenger. I'm the Executive Director at Christine Ann Domestic Abuse Services. I've been in the Oshkosh area for almost 15 years now, and have been with Christine Ann for a little over 8 years. So, yeah, that's all the fun things about me.
Hi, I'm Eden Prothero. I'm from the Oshkosh area. I was born and raised here. I've been with Christine Ann for just about over a year now. I'm the education and marketing specialist, so we give presentations like this to other businesses, organizations, all free of cost. And then I do all things marketing, so like our website, social media, all that good stuff.
All right, thank you so much.
So today we'll be talking about domestic abuse, domestic violence, that's used interchangeably, 101. So who we are, you're going to see the acronym CADASI a lot. It stands for Christine Ann Domestic Abuse Services Incorporated. CADASI is just a little bit easier and quicker to say than our full name. But we're a nonprofit agency that serves individuals and families in Winnebago and Green Lake counties who are impacted by domestic abuse. Our mission is to empower individuals and families through education, safety, and support, and lead our community to reduce the incidence and effects of domestic abuse and dating violence. Our service area, like I mentioned before, is Green Lake and Winnebago counties. However, our 24/7 shelter is just not even across the road, it's just 10 feet away that way. We're at 240 Algoma Boulevard now. If you guys didn't know, we recently moved. So we are now in a bigger building right next to City Hall, which is great. And that's our emergency shelter and our main office. So all admin works out of there. We also have 2 outreach offices. We have an outreach office in Levin, the Levin building, which is in Menasha. And then we have an outreach office in Green Lake at the Town Square building. Both of these buildings are also conveniently located downtown in those cities.
And two, something about our service area. Although our primary service area is Winnebago and Green Lake counties, that doesn't mean that we don't accept people from outside of there. We absolutely do. Sometimes it's far too unsafe to stay within your own county, so people have to travel a little bit further. So we serve people from all over, but about 90% of our clients are coming from within Winnebago and Green Lake counties.
Our programs and services, first and foremost, we like to emphasize that we're inclusive. So we serve all genders, all identities, all sexualities. Doesn't matter who you are, if you're experiencing abuse, we're here to help. And that includes our shelter as well. So that's just an emphasis on we're not just a women's shelter. Men can come into our shelter as well. We have that 24/7 emergency shelter and helpline. So alongside our shelter, we have a helpline that folks can call. Our shelter and helpline is staffed 24/7, 365 days a year. So no matter what, even on holidays, snow days, we still get that staffed. We have preventative youth services, so we have amazing youth advocates that go into our schools. Oshkosh School District, Green Lake School District, Menasha, and they give presentations about DV1, well, more so healthy relationships, consent, boundaries. They really tailor it to the ages that they're presenting to. They present to kiddos aged 4 to 19. And then they also serve the kiddos that are in our shelter as well. We have our empowerment services, so honestly kind of like youth services, but with adults. So we offer one-on-one advocacy with adults who aren't staying in shelter and who are staying in shelter. So you don't have to be staying in shelter to receive our services. And these meetings are meant for support, emotional coping, safety planning, and then alongside with our empowerment services, we also offer legal advocacy. So we help folks going through divorces, custody, lifting no contacts, putting no contacts down, all of that. And then we have our community education, so what I am doing right now. And then kind of alongside that with our community, we also have so many volunteer opportunities with that. So to get into it, I just want to say, if you during this presentation get uncomfortable or have a trigger to anything, I will not be offended. You can take a step out, take a breather, do whatever is most comfortable for you. But what is domestic abuse? Domestic violence and or abuse is a systematic pattern of behaviors in a relationship that are used to gain and maintain power and control over another. And there's no such thing as a typical victim. So domestic violence can happen to anybody. It's all about power and control, like I mentioned. So it's not about anger, mental illness, drugs or alcohol, stress, or because the victim, survivor did anything to cause it. It's to gain and maintain that power and control. These factors listed below might aid in heightening the severity of the abuse, but at the end of the day, it is not the root cause of the abuse. So power and control, what is power and control? How does one attain that? What does that look like? Typically we use a wheel, or we use these words bulleted. There's different tactics used in an abusive relationship. The first tactic and the most widely used tactic is isolation. And this is how typically abuse starts. So getting that person away from other individuals, like their family and friends, and maybe physically away from them too. So that could be moving to a new city to start a new life. Or, hey, I don't like what your friend said to me the other day, you need to stop talking to them. You FaceTime your mom too much, you gotta stop that. Till eventually that person has no one to fall on besides that abuser. Next we have technology and social abuse. This is more increasingly common and become honestly a thing in the recent couple decades because social technology is such a used thing, such a common thing everyday life. This can be hacking into a phone to read text messages, to post things on social media. This could be hacking into your calendar and moving around appointments to make you feel crazy. I'm always late to my appointments, I don't understand what's going on. The abuser might have hacked into your calendar and started moving appointments around. We have spiritual and cultural abuse. So this can look like preventing a person from following their cultural beliefs, their spiritual, their religion beliefs. And this can also then on the flip side look like using your religion as an excuse for that abuse. Marriage, for example, it's for better or for worse. We set our vows, we committed to God. This is just the worst right now. We can't get a divorce. So all of that can be used as an excuse for that abuse. We have emotional abuse. This is the belittling, the name calling, nitpicking, really breaking down one's confidence and self-worth so they feel useless and just not worthy of anything more. They feel then dependent on that abuser. We have intimidation, threats, and coercion. So, if you do this, I will punch you. Punching a wall next to a person's head. They didn't get punched, but they know they could be. And intimidation, I'm bigger and stronger than you. That's intimidation, and that's obviously saying, I can overpower you. We have health and bodily autonomy, which is a pretty wide one. This could look like, I don't like how you are on your anxiety pills. I don't like who you become, you gotta stop taking that. I don't agree with that. You're not allowed to take birth control. I think it's unnatural. Or you can't go see a doctor because I don't want anybody else looking at your body. Only I'm allowed to look at your body. Or on top of that, I don't want them to see your bruises. So you might be hurt and you might need medical attention, but I'm not going to allow you to seek it and to receive it. We have special privilege, and that one I just sum up with, I can, but you can't. I can go hang out with coworkers till midnight, but you can't. I can come home whenever and not tell you where I am, but you can't. I can, but you can't. End of discussion. We have economic abuse or financial abuse. This is the most common used abuse tactic. This can look now, obviously, finance, you think money right away. A couple gets married. I'm better with finances. Let's have a joint account and I'll control it. I'm better with money than you. Slowly can turn into, well, you get an allowance of $50 every week to keep the budget on track. To maybe you get $20 of gas money every week. Now I can tell if you're going to work and back. Or maybe are you cheating on me and going somewhere else? Can also look like not allowing a person to get their driver's license. You don't need your driver's license, I'll drive you everywhere. Well, not having a driver's license makes it really hard to get a job and then to be financially independent. So I know driver's license, you're like, oh, that's not money driven. At the end of the day, it is. And this can also look like, yeah, you don't need to go get your GED. You don't need to work a job. I got finances covered. You stay at home and clean. Next, we have using children, pets, or property. So commonly using children as messengers. Tell your mom I said this. Tell your dad I said that. Or using special privilege with the kids. And then using pets. So if you do this, I'll hurt the dog. I'll hurt the cat. And then also property, so breaking windows, maybe slamming doors, punching walls. That also kind of turns into intimidation. And then lastly, minimizing, denying, and blaming. So this one is just, I didn't say that. I didn't do that. I didn't yell that loud. I didn't hit you that hard. Until that survivor starts believing it of, oh, maybe they didn't say that. Maybe I'm imagining it. Or maybe they didn't hit me that hard, maybe I'm being dramatic. It alters that person's sense of reality. They don't know what is real or not anymore. Now with these tactics, you can kind of tell that they start overlapping, and you don't have to have all of these happening to you to be in an abusive relationship. And a common misconception is, oh, it's not physical, they're not physically getting hurt, so they're not abused. These tactics show that there is many ways to get abused that isn't just physical. Any questions about these? So we went through those tactics and you're thinking, oh my gosh, why wouldn't people just leave that? How would you even start dating a person that, moves you away from family and doesn't allow you to talk to friends or decide what to wear or what to do? That's where the cycle of abuse comes in. So this kind of explains why these type of relations carry on. So the first phase of any relationship, healthy or not, is that honeymoon phase, which I'm sure we're all aware of. It's the lovey-dovey, gift-giving, this person's amazing, perfect, everything's just great. In any healthy relationship and unhealthy relationship, there's conflict. So you get to know the person, there's maybe some tension that builds, and there's a problem that comes about. In a healthy relationship, two people would identify that problem and work towards it together to solve it. In an unhealthy relationship, that problem is placed on that victim, that person, and they are the problem then. So then, in a healthy relationship, we work through that problem together, the problem's resolved, and we can go back into that calm state. We're just in that normal, healthy relationship. In an unhealthy relationship, that third phase exists. Tension's building, that problem's placed on the person, and that third phase is the abuse breaks out. Maybe that's name calling, the physical abuse, the attack, the belittling, the intimidation, the threats. The abuse breaks out, but it doesn't last. That abuser then apologizes, says maybe it'll never happen again, I promise I'll change, I'll get help. They go back into that calm honeymoon phase. Gift giving, and we have those three words right in the middle. love, hope, and fear. So during this honeymoon phase, the victim starts to, loves them. They've been dating for maybe a couple years or months. They love them. They know who they can be. They have hope that what they're saying is true, that they will change, they'll seek help, that they're sorry. And then lastly, we have fear. They have fear of what can happen because they've seen the abuse, they've been through the abuse. So they have fear if they make them mad again, it could happen again. So having that love, hope, and fear keeps them in this cycle. Any questions about the cycle? So barriers to leaving, we obviously have that cycle. We have that love wrapped up in here, that hope and that fear. But other barriers can be no support from family or friends. So due to isolation, why would I help you? You haven't talked to me in 2 years. Why would I help you? You cut me out of your life. Or just maybe you don't have good ties to friends or families. You become dependent on that abuser. Fear of cultural, community, or societal backlash. Again, going back to marriage. Divorce could be voodoo to some people. We can't get divorced. We said our vows. We said I do. My family would freak out if I got a divorce. Societal backlash. What will society think? All of these things can play into that fear of breaking it off. We have nowhere to go or ability to get away. So going back to that economic abuse, you might not have a driver's license. So you can't even get in a car to drive away. Due to financial abuse, you might not have money to pay for a hotel to stay at. Fear they will not be able to support themselves. So again, let's say you have that $50 to go stay in a hotel and to get a taxi to the hotel. What comes after that? How am I going to support myself long term to stay away? They might have children in common, so fear that they can't support themselves, and then on top of that, their children. And then what happens to the children? I don't want to leave my children behind to potentially endure abuse, so I'm not going to leave at all. And then once you do have that, maybe children together, custody. Okay, what does custody look like? Do I want to go through that? Do I want to try to do that? You might have pets or other animals you don't want to leave behind. So this is a really big barrier. People don't want to leave their cat or dog behind, which is totally valid. Pets are like a lineage of your family. It kind of becomes your daughter, your son. Like, it's my child, it's my pet. In our old building, we were not allowed to accept pets, so that was a huge barrier that we identified. We tried our hardest to be partnered with boarding programs and stuff like that, but even that, survivors didn't want to be away from their pet. And it was, okay, leave the pet behind to potentially endure abuse, or stay in that abusive relationship to keep them safe. And a lot of folks chose that. Now, I highlight that because in our new building now, which is super exciting, we can start accepting pets. We haven't totally rolled out the pet program, but it is in the works. So we will be able to accept clients with dogs, cats, a bunny, maybe a bird will be in our future. So we're eliminating that huge barrier, which is great. And then lastly, distrustful of local law enforcement or the court system. So there's a statistic that it's an average of 7 times before a person permanently leaves an abusive relationship. Through those 7 times, potentially police could have been called. And we know back to that cycle of abuse, there's love and hope and fear. So maybe that police person is called and they want to arrest the abusive person. Well, the survivor, the victim's now thinking, oh no, I love this person. I don't want them to go to jail. I love this person, but I'm scared of them. What if they get out of jail and hurt me? So then it's really confusing. You don't want them to go to jail, so you might backtrack on everything you said. This kind of starts to start some distrust with law enforcement because police officers don't really like to hear that. But we know the cycle. We know it makes sense why we might backtrack on that. And then court systems. The fact of leaving takes an average of 7 times to leave. Maybe you've tried to go through custody before and it didn't go the way you wanted it to. Or maybe you've tried to put a restraining order and it didn't go the way you wanted to. So that distrust of why would I go again if it didn't work out for me last time. Abusive characteristics. So now we know what abuse can look like and why folks stay in it. But what does abusive characteristics look like? What can we look for? quick involvement. So we just started dating, but I want to know everything about your life. I want to know all about you. I want to meet all of your friends, all of your family. I want to know everything that's going on. Unrealistic expectations, and this can be seen in other facets of their life. So they might have unrealistic expectations of their friends in their life, of their family members, of their coworkers. It's a pretty high indicator that they might have unrealistic expectations for an intimate partner. Hypersensitivity, so just super sensitive to anything you say or do or what other people say or do. If it's with other people, there's a chance that it's going to be with that intimate partner as well. Controlling behavior right off the bat. We just started dating, but I need you to cut off this friend. I didn't like what they said to me. Or maybe they have controlling behaviors and tendencies with their friends in their life that you've noticed. Or maybe with the pets that they have. We have isolation. So like I said before, in that tactic, we just started dating and you already have a problem with a friend that I have. Or you're already annoyed by my parents. And you already want me to cut somebody off. The person might blame others for their problems and feelings. So again, complaining about their friend and blaming them for how they feel. If my friend wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't be so angry today. If my boss wouldn't have said this, I wouldn't be so mad today. They're constantly putting blame on others for an excuse of their actions and their feelings. They tend to wear a good mask. So they might outwardly project this happy-go-lucky, kind person, but behind doors you see that personality flip. You see that other side of them. Then it might display cruelty to animals or children. So they might have a dog, but they're really disciplinatory. Like they discipline it with hitting or kicking the dog. That's a pretty big indicator. Gaslighting, I'm sure we're all, what is the word? Familiar, aware, oh goodness, it's the end of the day, of the term gaslighting. So it's very just manipulative.
Making you question your own reality.
Yes, I didn't say that, or I didn't mean it in that way, I didn't say it like that. They might have a history of violence, whether that's breaking things that might not be at a person or hurting another person, but maybe destroying objects, hurting animals, just anger. They might display threats of violence. They might break or strike objects. Use any force during any argument. And then lastly, jealousy. So it kind of goes back into that tactic of special privilege. I can go hang out with coworkers after work because I'm trustful, but you can't because you're going to cheat on me. You're going to talk to somebody else. I don't even want you talking with your friends because your friends are going to encourage you to cheat on me. High jealousy. So some important things to know is domestic abuse usually escalates over time. It starts very mellow. Usually you can't even tell. They do it in a way that comes from a good place. It's a good nature. It's I'm protecting you, or I'm good with finances. And like I said earlier, a person will leave an average of 7 times before they permanently leave that relationship. And many things can indicate danger. So once a survivor thinks about leaving or has left this relationship, this actually becomes the most dangerous time. So a lot of people think, oh, they left the relationship, you're good now, you're good to go, you can start a new life. That's actually the most dangerous time. And that relates back to our name, Christine Ann. Our name is named after a real woman. She went to UW Oshkosh. She was from the area, and she had a boyfriend in college. They eventually got married and had a child. He had always been abusive, but she kept it to herself. But it escalated over time, and it became physically dangerously abusive. So she fled the relationship and went to a DV shelter down in Milwaukee, received support from advocates and family members because she finally told her family. So she had the confidence and courage to leave the relationship. They had split custody. They went through custody, got a divorce, went through all of that, and they had visitations to switch custody, to switch where the child is for the week. During one of these visitations, unfortunately, her abuser took her life, left the baby unharmed, but took Christine Ann's life. And that's just showing that it is the most dangerous time. And that's one story of that. So we decided to name our agency after that to pay honor to her, and just as a really big symbol of why we're doing what we're doing, and that it is the most dangerous time is when a person leaves. And that's what we're helping folks do. So they leave when they come into shelter.
And kind of on that same vein too, so during the month of October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we display purple silhouettes out in front of our location. Each of those silhouettes has a story of an individual who lost their lives due to domestic violence the year prior. So in 2023, there were 85 lives lost in the state of Wisconsin due to domestic violence. And 1 in every 6 domestic violence homicide that took place in the United States happened in Wisconsin. So Wisconsin is incredibly high, unfortunately, on the domestic violence homicide list. So it's unfortunately not something that's like, oh, it doesn't happen around here. It's very prevalent in Wisconsin, and especially in rural communities too. So last year in 2023, there were 3 individuals from Winnebago County who lost their lives due to domestic violence. So it is alive, it is well, and unfortunately that's why our organization continues to exist, and unfortunately needed to grow very recently. So.
Thank you. Having access to guns also heightens the danger of it. So it was found that if there is a gun in the relationship, it heightens the danger of that by 500%. And then suicidal threats made by the abusive person. So during that relationship, the abuse is there, it happens, but all of a sudden the abusive person says, if you leave, I'm going to kill myself. That's a high indication that that relationship is already dangerous, but has now become even more dangerous. They're willing to kill themselves. They're willing to kill you. And then not listed on here, but another high indication of danger is strangulation. So if strangulation occurs, the percentage of homicide made by that abusive person increases exponentially. So ways to help. We learned about it, we know about the cycle of abuse, we know those tactics, kind of what to look for and characteristics. But what can we do as a community to help individuals? We can recognize the warning signs of abuse, which we all walked through, and we can respond to it. So respond to the survivor in a supportive, non-judgmental way. The survivor discloses to you, validate them. Say, I believe you, I'm here for you. And then refer. So refer them to community resources like Christine Ann, Harbor House, Golden House. We're all here to help. To agencies that can help. So our referral process is we do assessments, basically 80% over the phone, but we require that individual who's experiencing the abuse to be the one talking on the phone. However, we answer phone calls for public all the time of maybe you have a friend or a family member or a loved one that you just have an inkling that you know they're not in a safe situation. It's really hard to see. You can call us and we have a friends and family packet, and we can kind of walk through of, what you're feeling. It affects you as well, what you can do to help, and what those next steps would be. So like I said, that 24/7 helpline, you can always call us with questions or help, basically guidance. And then we also are always staffed. But going back to that supportiveness, the best thing you can do is just say things like, I believe you, or maybe they're not ready to disclose. You can say, I'm really concerned for your safety. You seem off, or maybe you just seem different. You might notice some bruises that are unexplained. It's okay to point those out and say, hey, I'm just concerned for your safety. You deserve to be safe. You deserve to be loved, and I believe you. And some folks aren't ready to disclose. Some folks call the helpline and they're not ready to receive help. That's okay. Survivors know their life the best, and we support any of their decisions. But it's important to always keep that door open. So hey, if you're not ready to say anything, that's totally okay. But when you are ready, I'll always be here for you. And that goes way farther than you think it will. It feels like, oh, I wish I could do more. But in their head, they know now they have a safe person in their life, which is amazing.
And then one thing that I wanted to add too, that we didn't have on our slide about the different programs that we offer is the transitional housing program. So this is a brand new program to our organization, and the only reason that we're able to do it is because of our move into our new building at 240 Algoma. So we will have 11 apartments that are dedicated to folks who don't necessarily need the immediate safety of the emergency shelter, but are not quite ready for that full independence. And so they can stay with us from 6 months up to 2 years and work alongside our transitional housing advocate and work on financial literacy. Maybe it's going back to school, saving up money, really helping get some of those life skills to prepare for full independence. So this is a brand new program that we will be launching at the end of November here. We just hired the new staff member. They start this upcoming Monday, which is very exciting. And then we'll be able to launch that program. So we're very excited about the unfortunately necessary growth that our agency needed to have. But this building helps eliminate a lot of the barriers that we were experiencing in our previous location. And we are just very much looking forward to opening our doors to supporting even more survivors who may need our support.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So you touched on this a little bit, but as somebody who wants to be an advocate, if I see somebody who is in the cycle, and most of the time, I guess for me, I see them when they're on the hope, and because you don't normally see them when they're in the act of abuse.
Yes.
And you said you refer them, but then it's kind of hands off in terms of letting them make the next steps. I just wanted you to talk a little bit more and clarify, what is the best way to be an advocate in that situation?
Yeah. I would say, so anyone who's staying in our shelter, receiving our services, is on a total voluntary basis. So folks can leave shelter when they want, because we know it's an average of 7 times before a person leaves. So sometimes we've had folks leave and come back to us, so we always leave our doors open. But as a advocate out in the community, what you can do is, again, just leave that door open and show that continuous support. Don't tell them what to do, because that's not what they want to hear. It's hard to be like, you need to get out of that relationship, it's not good for you. You can express that and say, hey, I think this would be a really good fit for you. I think you could talk to people about this because what you're experiencing is not okay. But then be okay when they say, no, I don't need help. Just that continuous support.
Yeah. What I would also add on to that is the education piece is huge. So as somebody who is seeing from an outside perspective, these behaviors that they're explaining to me right now are not healthy behaviors. It's important to talk to that person about that and how you see that. So we see so many people that come to us and they're like, I don't even know if what I'm experiencing is abuse. I just know I need to talk to somebody. So we utilize a tool called the Power and Control Wheel. It is an amazing tool. We use it in every single facet of our agency, and that is a really wonderful educational opportunity to you don't even have to go through it with someone, but if you just give it to them to read, that is a really great resource as well.
Which is always available on our website as well.
Do you have more questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. So, just out of curiosity, if a citizen or multiple citizens or all the citizens want to help, what are all the different ways that they could contact you or, show support?
Yeah.
Whether that's financial or I don't know if you take any other donations or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'll say is, although we've moved into our new space, our fundraising is still continuing for this project. So out of our $6.8 million goal in our capital campaign, we have still $350,000 left to raise. So it's a good chunk of money in the grand scheme of it. It's like, oh, that's not so bad. But we do need the community's help to still get us to that finish line and raise that additional $350,000. We also take in monetary donations for the support of our different programs that we offer. If someone's like, hey, I want to give to your legal program or to help someone get their locks changed. Unrestricted financial donations can go to help in a lot of different ways, which is incredible. We also take in-kind donations, so that is always on our wish list. So Eden actually updates our wish list on our website at the beginning of every single month. So there's always going to be a refreshed, updated needs list on there that's very clearly stated what our current needs are.
And then other ways to be involved, let's say, you're just not in a position to give money or to even buy something to donate, following us on Facebook or Instagram and sharing the message. We post obviously some feel good and staff shout outs and good stuff, but we also post like the power and control wheel. I try to always post that every couple months. Abuse tactics, I post red flags. So I also post informational items as well. So just sharing that on your social media and spreading the word.
And volunteering.
And then volunteering, yes. So volunteering makes the building's lights turn on. We don't change a light bulb without a volunteer. So groups can volunteer at a one-time basis or maybe a couple times a year, and then individuals can also volunteer either consistently or maybe you get a day off and you just want to volunteer randomly. We would absolutely love to have anybody. Jobs can look like cleaning, organizing, helping build furniture that we got donated, organizing the food pantry. So mowing the lawn. It can look like a very wide range, so we always try to talk to the person and see what their strengths are and then kind of align it with what needs to be done.
And they can contact you via the website?
Yeah,
or-
we have a form on the website specifically for volunteering. You can fill out an individual volunteer form for yourself, or if your company wants to volunteer or you're part of a club, there's also a group volunteer form that you can fill out as well. And then also we have our email on there, so you can always just shoot us an email and say, hey, I'm interested in volunteering. So there's a couple different ways to get involved.
And if you want immediate response, there's always someone that's going to answer the
Yes.
24/7 helpline. So that number is 920-235-5998.
Anybody else have questions?
I'll just make a quick comment. The only thing I can say is that working in different nonprofit agencies, I've always found Christina to be an amazing partner, playing well in the sandbox and trying to serve the community the best that is possible. So I just wanted to throw that out publicly. Appreciation for that.
Thank you. You know, we could not do our part of the puzzle without all of the other amazing organizations in the community. We know that we can't do it all, nor do we want to do it all. So we rely heavily on our community partners and other agency nonprofits in the area to help make sure that the survivors that we serve are getting connected to all of the resources that they're requesting.
Just for my own curiosity, how big of a facility can you take for emergency,
Yeah.
housing? I
Yes.
guess?
So our shelter, we went from 37 beds to 64 beds.
Great.
And so some of the limitations that we were experiencing in our previous building was only 3 out of our 10 bedrooms were ADA accessible. We had areas of the building that you couldn't get to if you had mobility struggles or were in a wheelchair. We had very limited space for large families. So when we had multiple large families seeking the safety of the emergency shelter, because of the way that our shelter is set up, we just couldn't accommodate that. So, and then pets, as Eden mentioned before, some people did not even view shelter as an option if they can't bring their animal with them. So we're very excited that this new space really helps eliminate all those barriers that we had previously and opens up a really or opens up our doors to support even more folks.
Yeah, that's so great. I mean, obviously, I think most of us are in awe of what organizations like yours do.
Thank you.
All right. If nobody else has any questions, we can thank you so much for coming.
Yes, thank
we really
you.
Appreciate it, and appreciate you sharing your information with us, and hopefully, we've also shared it with some of the citizens and taught us all how to help others.
Thank you. And thank you for spreading the word during Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We're very appreciative.
All right, so we have a few more agenda items. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, or you're welcome to head out if you have other places to be.
Wonderful.
So,
Thank you.
And then I do have just a little stack of brochures. If anyone wants to grab one or a couple, go for it. I will leave these all here. Outlines all of our programs, our website, all of our info, helpline, all that good stuff.
Great, thank you. We'll
Thank
definitely
you.
make use of that. All right, so next thing on our agenda is our committee member roundtable. So if anybody has any related activities or events that they want to share upcoming in the area.
One of the most DEI-related events that the city can do is set its budget, because obviously that affects how we impact all of
Yes, it
our
does.
citizens. So today and tomorrow is the full budget meetings for the city council. After that, I believe it's Wednesday, December 6th, will be the public hearing for public listening session for any feedback from our community about the budget that we have set as a blueprint, and it'll be a rough draft at that point. So if you want to see something funded and it's not in the budget, that's the day to show up and yell at us and make your voice heard. Email, it's available online. You can search terms. I definitely recommend looking at it online versus looking at it on paper, just because you can use the Control F and you can find your topic a lot easier. But that's
Just because it's like 500 pages long?
yeah,
or-
it's
yeah.
only 500 pages long. So normally it is the most important thing that City Council does for the citizens. This year we are also hiring a new city manager, so I would say it's 1 and 1A, between the most important. But please give City Council your input if you see something that's not funded or see something that is funded and you want to see more.
All right, well, that's going to pale next to Dia de los Muertos that's coming up at the City Museum on Friday, November 1st from 5:30 to 8:30. It is $5 per person, $1 per person wearing an inappropriate costume. I'm not quite sure what that means, but...
If you have to ask, it's not appropriate.
So other than that, that's the only upcoming event that I'm aware of off of the top of my head. I don't know if anybody else knows about anything coming up. It's getting a little cold outside for outside events, so they're definitely slowing down for the season. Anybody else have anything they want to share on Roundtable? Okay, then we normally go to outstanding items like future agendas on the council agenda, but I think we just kind of covered that. That's the biggest thing going on right now, I would say, with council. Obviously, budget hearing today, or not budget hearing, budget meetings today and tomorrow. They are televised if you really would like to watch them. I usually have mine playing in the background at work, but and then of course the hearing as Carl indicated. So anybody have any other outstanding items? Any future agenda items anyone would like to recommend? All right, who do we have coming next month? Lindy, I can't remember. Habitat for Humanity next month.
Did we decide, so November, we're gonna do the meeting in November yet?
That was the plan.
Okay.
Yes, we decided that last month, didn't we?
I thought so.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yes, I thought we did. Yeah, so we are planning on the November meeting. Of course, as always, we will send out and make sure we have a quorum If for some reason we don't, well, that's another issue. But if anyone has reason to believe they're not going to be able to make the November, letting us know sooner than later is certainly helpful, because we will, of course, want to make sure we have a quorum for that. And of course, December is then canceled per our decisions at the last meeting, that we're not going to have a December meeting, which is pretty consistent with what we see for council as well. So usually we don't have that second meeting in December. I don't know if you guys have decided that this year yet.
It hasn't been official, but it'll be official.
So. All right. Of course, if you do come up with any agenda items, feel free to email me and the chair if you want to put something on the agenda. And I do appreciate it if you do that, about 2 weeks ahead, because we have to put the agenda together and all of that good stuff. And I normally run it through the chair as well, and have some conversations with the chair. She's learning all of her new responsibilities right now. So we will...
Meet your new best friend.
I need one, so.
Good. So, all right. Well, with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I got 3 ayes. All right. Thanks, everyone.